do you think AI can help this issue of food insecurity in terms of climate smart agriculture? How can we integrate AI into our agricultural system? It's good to have you join us on another episode of Policy on the Go, coming to you from Green Grow TV. Today we'll be diving into a conversation that explores a crucial yet often overlooked dimension of artificial intelligence, which is the intersection with environmental sustainability. On the 12th of January 2025, which was just a few days ago, the UK government announced its ambitious plan to unleash AI across the nation, aiming to boost economic growth and its sustainable development goals. Well, while these advancements hold tremendous promises like revolutionizing industries and even contributing to the fight against climate change, they also come with significant challenges. Chief among them is the high energy and water demands required to power artificial intelligence system. And this has raised questions about how this rapid innovation would actually align with the UK's climate and environmental goals. So in this program, we will be asking a critical question of how leaders and policymakers can map out a future for AI that not only drives economic growth, but also ensures a more inclusive and sustainable future that, most importantly, leaves no one behind. I have with me Mikali Haruna Daya, founder of the Drylands Initiatives for Ecosystem Restoration and Capacity Building. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you.
Yeah.
So let's just go straight into the conversation. So like we've seen, recently, we've seen how our leaders are trying to map out a future with AI, that's artificial intelligence system. Let me just say it in full for someone that might not know. So for artificial intelligence system, and they're trying to balance this out with boosting economic growth and sustainable development. So first of all, we want to know, what are the challenges that you think that we might face or our governments might face in trying to ensure that while they're pushing for AI innovations, they are also ensuring that there is no environmental impact in a negative sense? So what are some of the challenges that we might face in trying to tackle this issue?
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting question, and I'm happy to be here. So you see, even some of the criticism coming from the UK government is the issue of energy demand when it comes to AI, deploying AI. And for us here in Nigeria, we are not an exception. So part of what government should do is to see that we are prepared for any eventuality. In Nigeria, part of the issues we might face as the challenges is the issue of energy demand. And going by the issue we have here in Nigeria, you see, we don't have sufficient energy. We are suffering from grid collapse every now and then. So what we need to do is to invest in renewable energy. We need to incentivize renewable energy deployments, because this is not a question of if, it's when. So governments will have to just prepare, because we must deploy AI. It's something that is a global trend, and it's coming to us. So, and the challenge of electricity and water, it's big, and then we have to then make sure that we prepare for that. And if we go by the national grid and what we have as the status quo, we may not achieve what we want to achieve. So we have to then look at renewable energy. And then renewable energy is quite expensive, it's capital intensive. And then we then may have to incentivize, we have to offer some kind of subsidy when it comes to renewable energy, so that we can have people investing in renewable energy, and then individuals actually go in for renewable energy. Research centers will come up, and then they will need those incentives to function properly.
Okay. So now looking at how we're pushing towards obviously the more renewable energy side of things, and then still even looking at what the UK is doing with AI innovations, there's going to be some sort of compromise with the systems we have now. So what exactly would be the trade-offs in terms of pushing for AI innovations and still ensuring that there's still environmental impact, there's still environmental sustainability? So what exactly would be that sort of compromise that we need to put, or that we will need to go through, and how can we manage these trade-offs effectively to ensure that we're better prepared for this transition?
Yes, there must be trade-offs, and part of what we need to do to ensure that, these are the things that it's private sector participation. We have to bring in the private sector, and government will have to play the big brother here. Government should make sure that this AI is coming in, and we as the big brothers, we have to provide the incentives, as I mentioned earlier. We have to ensure that we have research centers. Our research centers are properly placed to bring in innovations as it relates to AI, private sector participation, public-private partnerships, and things like that. And then when it comes to agriculture, where I have, where is my forte, so to speak, I think we are looking forward to seeing how AI will revolutionize climate-smart agriculture. As it is, we want to see how AI will help us in predicting weathers. You see, climate change comes with erratic weather patterns. And if we can have AI, we believe it will help us in predicting weather patterns, and it will also help us in providing agricultural extension services to smallholder farmers. Not only that, we are looking at the area of traceability, and we can see how we can look at deploying AI to ensure there is traceability along the entire agricultural value chain. We are looking at how we can combine AI and blockchain in the forestry sector, such that we can have a legally timbers, because currently there is a lot of illegalities in the forestry sector. There is currently a ban in Nigeria for the export of timber. So if we can have AI, this will help us to ensure traceability, and it will help us access the European markets. It will also help us in deploying blockchain technologies across the value chain, which will help in getting our smallholder farmers getting the benefits from these timber businesses.
Okay, yes. So now let's go back to what the UK government is doing. Just a quick look on that. You know, like we've seen, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced that they are boosting their funding for green AI initiatives in order to reach the country's goal of net zero emissions by 2050. But now one of the questions that people have is that looking at the use of AI innovations, it might create a strain on the national grid, on the power grid. So how realistic, looking at this, how realistic do you think this ambition is from them? How realistic, how possible do you think it is for them to achieve it without putting a strain, or in fact that would lead to power outages in the UK, and then even just may lead to environmental degradation? How realistic do you think this ambition is? And if not, what kind of policies, or in what way will you say they need to go about this to ensure that it brings a more positive result and not a negative result?
Thank you. The UK, I believe they took the bull by the horn. We can look at it from now, from where I'm standing, we may say it's not realistic. But if you want to be optimistic, because you would say that, okay, perhaps they have some policies that they are bringing up to meet up, and then see how they can achieve the AI policies they are now deploying. Because as it is, UK in 2023 have one of the most expensive energy rates in the world. And so you see, for them to achieve that first, they may have to reduce the rates and also incentivize or subsidize the energy rates. And then AI, as I've mentioned earlier, it requires a lot of energy. And being that with the current energy demand in the UK, it will certainly put a lot of strain on the energy demand. Then this brings us back to renewable energy. Renewable energy would compensate on the strain on the national grid. And this is what every country should do. The UK, I don't know, but there are a lot of criticism that this might not be possible because of the energy demand, and they feel it might be abrupt, that perhaps there are no policies in place to ensure that this AI deployment is a success. But then recently, I have seen it on the news that the national grid, the person in charge of the national grid, is asking his own subordinates, okay, let's come up, let's see the cost-benefit analysis, which clearly shows that the UK is not really prepared. They just decided to do it, and then now they are seeing that, okay, there might be challenges to this. So I think the UK might see that, okay, they need to be deploying it maybe in phases. Some of these things you don't have to go full phase, but if they can deploy it in phases, they may be able to achieve it. And then we in Nigeria also, we may be learning from some of the lessons the UK
right. So now let's come to the talk of socioeconomic disparities. Now, of course, we're all pushing to reach a certain level when it comes to use of AI technologies, right? But now the reality is that not every country or community is on the same level when it comes to accessibility to especially artificial intelligence technologies. So, and of course, as much as we're pushing, green growth in general is also ensuring that we don't widen the gap when it comes to economic disparities. So how do you think we can ensure that AI does not widen the gap that we already have when it comes to technology advancement in certain communities and areas? How can we ensure that this is also accessible even to the most remote of places and it doesn't widen that gap, but even is able to bridge it? Especially because, what the discussion now is how we can ensure that AI brings environmental sustainability. And like you said, you spoke about climate smart agriculture and all of that. So now, because these communities, they are most of the vulnerable communities that don't even have access to these technologies, they are the ones that suffer the most from climate-related disasters. So they are actually the ones that need these technologies the most. So how can we ensure that these resources actually gets to them and AI doesn't rather widen the gap between them in terms of technological advancement?
Thank you. So what we need to do is to set up frameworks that ensures that we leave no one behind. I like to speak from the perspective of environmental sustainability, like you said. Currently, climate change has really affected agriculture. It has affected the biodiversity. And if we can deploy AI properly, then the remotest of villages, the communities that we feel will be left behind, they might be the ones that benefit the most. If we have dry spells, we have climate predictions, we have AI deployed to the field to tell us soil types, to tell us the amount of fertilizer, which type of fertilizer should be applied to the communities. As it is now, we are just coming up with soil maps, and I believe AI, with the coming of AI, it has facilitated that process. Initially, we don't have that. So these are some of the innovations that will come in. And then, but what we just need to do is to put control, to put in frameworks that ensures we have left no one behind.
All right. So now let's just look at it from policy. So what specific policy incentives do you recommend that we need to put in place, especially in Africa? Like we said, we actually do need this, and a lot of vulnerable communities in Africa. So what specific policy incentives do we need to put in place to ensure a positive feedback from the loop between AI and renewable energy, to ensure that we're properly able to integrate them, especially in the communities that need them the most?
Yes. We have to fund research and innovation. We have to fund research and innovation. We have to subsidize renewable energy. These two things we just can't do without, because as AI is coming, we have to ensure that we have the needed capacity to manage these innovations, and then we have to see how we can be at par with our peers, be it in Africa or across the globe. And then when we incentivize, because when we look at the research centers, they also need renewable energy. And then the cost is cost intensive. And then we have to ensure that, okay, we subsidize that. And then in deploying them, maybe mini grids, we also have to incentivize and subsidize renewable energy for us.
How do you think we can achieve subsidizing renewable energy? Because I mean, it's very expensive really to achieve, especially a clean energy transition. And if we're looking at a country like Africa that we're already servicing lots of debts, there's just a lot to do and little money to do it. How do you think we can actually achieve subsidizing renewable energy? Do you think it's really possible?
It's possible if we really want to achieve this. Sometimes you just have to take the bull by the horn, just like the UK is doing. So if we want to do that, we don't have to, okay, if you need renewable energy, you need solar panels, you need wind turbines, you go there and then, no. I believe there are so many ways to do it. Perhaps we can lift the tax on renewable energy. We can ensure there are no custom duties. And then from the source, we can see that the major suppliers, they can have access to credit, interest-free credits. And then we can also give tax breaks to some of these companies and research institutions to see that, okay, these are some of the things that we can do for them to ensure that we've achieved our AI targets.
All right, thank you so much. So we'll take a short break now. And when we come back, we'll dive into the agricultural aspect, and we'll shift our focus to the issue of food insecurity in Africa and if artificial intelligence technologies could be the game changer that we need. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Still watching Policy on the Go, coming to you from Green Growth TV. Before the break, we looked at AI's potential to drive sustainability, and now we want to explore its impact on agriculture. So let me come back to you now. You know, there's still a very high level of food insecurity in Africa, especially, you know, even just this week, an article was published that about 2.6 million Nigerians, and you know the population of Nigeria is about 229 million, and out of those that amount we have 26 million people that are still suffering in acute hunger and food insecurity. And now you alluded earlier to climate smart agriculture. So how do you think AI can help this issue of food insecurity in terms of climate smart agriculture that's able to ensure sustainable use of land and management of water and all of that to ensure that we're able to boost food production at the end of the day? So how can we integrate AI into our agricultural system?
Thank you. Like I said earlier, for people like me, we are happy with AI. We are excited because it brings a lot of solutions. Some of the things that we feel might be difficult to achieve, AI is bringing solutions to these issues. Part of it is the area of climate predictability. Of we can have, because climate change is actually, it makes weather more erratic. And then with AI, we'll be able to predict weather. And then it will tell us soil information. We have a lot of soil infertility. And then if we can have soil data, we can then provide extension services to smallholder farmers. By that, we can then increase our crop yield. Not only that, we can deploy AI across the entire agricultural value chain. This, where I'm talking about, is post-harvest. There are a lot of post-harvest losses. We can deploy AI to ensure that we've reduced post-harvest losses. We can also deploy AI in aggregating commodities. In that, okay, with AI, we will know where this commodity is, or where and how do we then aggregate it. We can connect farmers to the market directly without having third parties. This way, we would reduce we'll fix the entire agricultural value chain. And then aside from that, there is the issue of lack of agricultural extension services, which I've mentioned earlier. With AI, now as it is, the global average is 1 extension worker to 800 farmers. We don't, in Nigeria, we don't have that. So with AI, we can have extension services. We can provide extension services via the mobile phone. So how do we do that? With AI, we will know which location needs this advice. For instance, if you are in the northern part of the country, you might believe that, you might thought that, okay, the entire northern part of the country needs drought resistant varieties, but that's not really the case. You might have the same local government, and then this part of the local government is drought prone, and the other part of the local government is not drought prone. Perhaps these people actually need flood resistant varieties. They need flood preventive measures and what have you. So these are some of the things that we need to do. We'll then deploy AI to ensure that our climate smart agricultural practices are location specific. And then when you look at it, even in the production proper, we would ensure that perhaps, okay, irrigation, we would ensure that we provide the right amount of water. Each crop has its own irrigation water demand. With AI, we will be able to provide the exact amount of water. With AI, we would know that, okay, at this point in time, the moisture level is low, and then it can be automated to provide water, the needed amount of water for that particular crop. It can be selective. We can do agroforestry, where we have two crops on the same land. This needs a lot of water, but the one just 2 meters away that doesn't need water. With AI, we can be precise. And this brings us to precision agriculture. And so AI, I think for us, we are excited, and we are so eager to see the innovation AI would bring into agriculture, especially in Nigeria and Africa.
Yeah, so but in Africa, I mean, how close do you think we are to achieving this? Because have you received a lot of support from the government in this particular instance? And then also looking at the farmers, for instance, some of the small scale farmers that are located maybe in the villages and all of that, how well do you think they'll be able to integrate? Because some of these farmers don't even have mobile phones, you know, so they don't even know what's happening. How well do you think they'll be able to integrate that into their practices? And of course, you know, how supportive has the government been? Do we look close enough to achieving this in Africa and even down to Nigeria?
When we're talking of global trend like the artificial intelligence, it's something that, as I said earlier, it's not the issue of if, it's when. Okay. It's happening, and it's moving rapidly. So what we do is to ensure that we catch up. And that is where the issue of research and innovation comes in. We have to ensure that we're moving at the same pace with the rest of the world. And you see, we today in Nigeria, we have the Ministry of Digital Economy, and the ministry is doing a lot in that regard. Globally, you see, whatever you are doing, you have to bring in AI, because this is something that has come to stay. When you look at it today, we have ChatGPT. Agricultural extension services is not as difficult as it used to be. You go to ChatGPT, it recommends, and then we as experts, perhaps we have that, okay, we look at it with a sustainability eye. You take what you want to take and drop what you want to drop. It helps us in sex disaggregated data. When you go to the communities and you have your data, you have the extension services that you are going to provide to the herders. You have extension services that you are going to provide to crop farmers. You have it to the aquaculture, fishermen, that's it. And then at that, we're looking at land degradation neutrality. So how do we balance that? So AI gives us that balance. You know that, okay, this is the land that you are using for agriculture, and this is the amount of land that you need to compensate for agriculture. We are seeing applications coming up now. Now it's way easier to map out the land that you're using for restoration. It's now way easier from satellite images to know the size of your land. So it's easier for even financial institutions to give out loan. It's easier for financial institutions to monitor and evaluate the progress of for the facility they have given out. So we are looking at, in the next coming years, it will be easier to lend to agriculture as against what is happening currently. So I think with AI, there are lots that is coming to agriculture. And then when we come to your question about smallholder farmers, people at the remote villages, they are the ones to benefit from this, because access to finance is a very big problem. Yeah. Access to the market is a very big problem. Lack of extension services is a very big problem. We're looking forward to AI to bring innovations that will help us solve these problems. How do we connect the farmer to the market? How do we connect the market to the farmer? AI gives us the solution, easy solutions to these problems. How do you connect the extension services? How do you ensure that farmers get the right extension services? How do we see that, okay, the extension services that are provided to female farmers are different from that of the male farmers? Yeah. What do we ensure that there is access to land for our women? How do we see that agroforestry is really thriving? How do we measure progress? AI makes all these things easier.
Yeah, so just before we wrap up, so what specific policy and frameworks would you recommend that we implement, especially here in Africa, to be able to align AI technologies with sustainable land management, climate-smart agriculture, and of course, ecosystem restoration as well, because that's also very important. So what are the specific policy frameworks that we need to start implementing? You know, because when you look at it, I'm not really sure if you look at, I mean, I'm not in that sector, but if you look at the policies we have, as much as we are trying to push for the agricultural sector, how well have they integrated using technology? So what kind of specific policies would you recommend that we implement in this field to achieve the desired results?
The policies that we need to we need to implement, like I said, we need to look at the SDGs. We need to ensure that we've left no one behind. Every member of the community, every segment of the community should be benefiting from the AI. And then we have to go granular in doing this. We have to ensure that, okay, in drafting policies, we don't go there and start taking tea. We ensure that, okay, this is AI and this is a serious business. We have to ensure that if we are drafting these policies, we go granular, ensure that every segment of the community, of the society, is being considered and their problems, their potentials have been addressed. We don't say, perhaps sometimes when you look at policies, and then we emphasize on smallholder farmers. When drafting policies, we then neglect other segments of the societies. There is a lot of farmer hunger crisis. With AI, we can ensure that, okay, this is where there is these are the red spots. We can look at the trend that every August there is farmer hunger crisis at this location. What are the trends? With AI, we can provide solutions. We can monitor the movements of all herders across the 36 states of the country. And wherever there is problem, we can predict that, okay, by the time they get to this location, there might be problem. And then we can deploy proactive measures. That is the lower segment of the society. We can also look at the top segment of the society. We can deploy AI in our election monitoring. We can do a lot of things, but then we have to ensure that the right framework is in place, and we have to make sure that this is serious business, and it shouldn't be something that, okay, should be driven by government alone. It should be not only, and I don't like saying that, okay, private sector driven. No. This should be public-private partnership, because it affects everybody. If you say that this doesn't affect you, it will affect you in one way or the other. And that is why we need to be serious about it.
Thank you so much. So just give us your final thoughts on the program. You know, what more you'd like for us to know, what more you'd like the people watching to know, and of course, what more you want the government to do in this specific sector.
Yes, thank you very much. And I must say thank you for inviting me. This is a very important topic. AI is an interesting topic, and the world is now bracing up for AI.
Yes.
So Nigeria shouldn't be left behind. And I'm happy we have the Ministry of Digital Economy. They're doing a lot, even if it is behind the scene. And I believe we will get there. So now it's up to us. This is everybody's business. It's up to the TV stations to see that, okay, how do we ensure, like what you're just doing, how do we sensitize the public? It's up to the smallholder farmers. How do I benefit from this? It's up to the teacher in the classroom. How do I optimize my teaching skills with AI? And so these are some of the things that we just need to do to ensure that we also benefit from this global trend as it is, because it will come to you, whether you like it or not. It's just like the mobile phone. And this is something that in the next coming years, it will solve a lot of our problems.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's a pleasure to have you. We've come to the end of today's program, and it's clear that the intersection of artificial intelligence and environmental sustainability does hold immense promises, but it also presents complex challenges. The UK's government's recent push to unleash AI offers a glimpse of various possibilities, but its alignment with environmental sustainability is still very key. Balancing AI innovations with the urgent need to meet climate goals does require collaboration, and like we've seen, bold policy making and definitely innovative solutions. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Tonya Gubanjo, and be sure to leave your comments and let us know what more you'd like to see, especially in the AI sector, for different and where even you specialize. So that's it from the program. I'm Tonya Gubanjo. It's bye for now.